Welcome to Tang Talk, my first podcast, and my guest here, Kara.
Thank you so much for having me. Tang Talk, everyone, the very first episode.
You look, thumbs up, subscribe, okay, to see more of this. Now, Kara is my client, and we have worked together on music videos. That's how we met.
Yes, Twilight.
Twilight, oh, I love that song. And
I love that video and that song. It came together so well.
And that's how we became friends.
It is. We had a big moment in that video. The very first time we met, we did that kind of guitar solo back to back. And it felt like there was some magic, right?
Yes.
From the very first time we met.
So first of all, if you don't know Kara, she's a music artist, singer, songwriter, actress, everything, okay? So this is why I love making friends outside the hair community. Oftentimes we feel like we have to hang out with people within our jobs or something like that, but it's so important that we reach outside our circle, connect with different people, because it keeps us being creative.
Totally. You know? And we do have so much common ground, as we've discovered through, Twilight, talking about music, hair, all the things that we've done when we've been doing our hair videos together.
Don't you feel like that's important to make friends outside your circle?
I do. I think it's very important. And it's not always the easiest thing to do, right? Because you're surrounded by so many people that are similar or doing similar things. And so it can be, I think, intimidating sometimes to meet a friend or know somebody outside of your immediate circle, don't you think?
It is, because we want to relate to people in our field and what we do, but we always have to remember our job title or our job label doesn't define who we are in our identity. A lot of people feel like, I am a hairstylist or I am a music artist, and then they can't be who they are outside of that, because people come up to you, they're just like, what do you do?
Oh, isn't that especially in LA? Don't you find that?
Yes.
Like when we're at parties, the first thing people ask you is, what do you do? And it's not who you are, right? Where the thing is that what we do is not really what defines us, like you said. It's an aspect of us. It's a way that we express parts of ourselves in what we do. But I don't think that's necessarily who we are at our core. You know, there are many different forms of expression that might showcase who I am as a person, and songwriting might be one of them, acting might be one of them, hair might be one of them for you. But at the end of the day, there are people in so many different spheres that we can connect with and that we can relate to that are not necessarily within our circle.
And all those things, they supplement each other. Like if I, for example, I do your hair. And then
very nicely, I should add.
But then you also know that I'm a singer-songwriter as well, and I co-produce a lot of my songs, and I have other talents elsewhere. But a lot of times people want to box you in and label you and typecast you into this category. All over social media, I'll get all these comments like, stick to hair, stick to hair, stick to hair. And it's so annoying. And then in the same sentence, in the same breath, they'll say, I love you though. I say, no, you don't love me, because you don't say.
You're trying to limit me and box me into one. You're not accepting the whole of who I am, because this is part of who I am, right?
Because when you love someone, you let them express themselves. You set them free, but you don't box them in. And sometimes people love you for what they can get from you or what they can benefit from you. And they want you, they love you for how they know you, for themselves.
One aspect of you that they can utilize for their benefit. Or I can definitely relate to that because, as a singer and a songwriter, I write for a lot of other artists. I also write for myself and put out songs as an artist. And I've definitely had experiences where companies or individuals have said, well, you can only be a songwriter or an artist. You can't be writing for other people and be putting out stuff for yourself, that it's a conflict of interest. And I've actually had companies not sign me before because of that. They said I'd have to make a choice. Either they're going to send me into sessions as a songwriter for these big, pop artists or whatever, or I'm going to go do the artist thing, and then it's they're completely separate. And if they're going to send me in these rooms as a songwriter, they don't want me to also be an artist.
Well, they call it branding or whatever, right? You have to present yourself this one way on social media. Go to someone's Instagram page and they have to have this aesthetic or this look, and they say it's proper branding or whatever. But what I feel is branding should be yourself. Your self-expression. Otherwise, you become a robot. And then your page don't look special. And I feel like it's very important to have your self-identity. And that's why when I see someone post personal picture selfies, stuff like that, there's a an admiration I have with them, because I feel like my page, I'll look at my page and all I post is my work, hair for the longest time, because I feel like I have to. And I feel like I boxed myself in for the longest time, and I lost my own identity within my own dream. Like, I love doing hair, but I lost myself within it because it became my identity.
Your identity.
Right. But there's so much more to me, because when we hang out and we talk, like, okay, I do your hair, but there's other layers.
There's so many layers to you beyond that, which I think is actually what is so cool about you, and also makes me admire you so much, is that you have so many sides to you, and you're really good at all of them. Truly, like, it's so, even this podcast, like, first podcast episode ever, I'm like, what can Guy not do? You know what I mean? Because everything you do, I feel like shines, and you have so many different facets of yourself that this is just like a new exploration of that. And to me, it makes perfect sense knowing you, because I'm like, I think they all are interconnected in a way, in the sense that they're all who you are. They're all bringing to the surface, like, the deepest part of yourself, showcasing that to the world, expressing it. It's all self-expression, whether that's like in the hair colors you create, the hair that you do, the songs that you write, the videos that you make, this podcast now. I feel like you're really good at, showcasing different parts of yourself and using them as forms of expression.
Because we have to evolve. Evolving is so important as humans. Otherwise, you get burnt out. When you feel stagnant and you don't feel creative, it's because you're doing what you're good at, or you're doing what you know is safe to you. And then you're literally like a gerbil going in circles. You're running and running, but going in circles, going nowhere. And sure, you're great at it, and you could just keep going in circles, but you're literally looping. And that's why it's so important for us to, have friends outside our circle.
And grow and expand, right? And introduce ourselves to new things. I have a question for you. Even though I know it's your podcast, but I'm like, I know it's a conversation. But, to me, I see you as a very successful person. I think you've been really successful in everything that you've done. And I would imagine that once you've reached certain levels of success, that it almost makes it scarier to take certain risks. Would you say that's true? Because now you feel like there's something to lose.
Yeah.
And so you have a perception already created of you. And so I would imagine it would even be like very scary to potentially try something new and have people who already have seen you, know you as something, be like, oh, but that's not what they do, or like, oh, stick to hair, like you said, like the worst thing ever, because you're such a talented musician and artist.
To me, when I see that comment, it's so cringy. I'm like, really? And success is measured differently by everyone. Some people have goals that they're trying to reach, right? Success means happiness for me. So whatever I'm doing makes me happy is successful to me, because I accomplished what I wanted, was to be happy. But a lot of people, success means like how many followers, money, fame, all these things. And I don't want to sell my soul to get these things, right? I don't want to lose my identity to have this quote unquote success. For me, success is I accomplished this.
While maintaining that.
Right.
Yeah.
And
integrity and identity. But some people are willing to sacrifice those things for success. Definitely we see it being here in LA, where you hear how somebody made something happen, and you kind of learn along the way that maybe they did kind of sacrifice their integrity to get it, or were willing to do something that wasn't them.
Yeah.
And it's hard. I have a really hard time with that, because like, to me, one of my core values is authenticity and being true to myself, and like keeping my values intact with like what is important to me, and making sure that everything I do is in alignment with that. I think I would have such a hard time making a huge...
It's because I used to get mad at people for sacrificing their integrity and doing the most. They're hustling. Because we're living in this hustle culture. People tell you to hustle, but they don't want to get hustled. Have you noticed that? Climb on people, but don't let them climb on you, or whatever.
And you're like, this doesn't even make sense. How can we do all this?
That's why I don't like that whole hustle culture.
Well, someone sent me a video once when I was a bit younger that was like, you have to want to succeed the same amount that you want to breathe. Like, it was really like toxic hustle culture. And they were believing this. And I'm like, what do you mean I have to want to succeed as much as I want to breathe? And it was this whole video where I had to watch this thing, and it was like really intense. And I'm like, this is not healthy. Because
succeeding what though?
Yeah, like what does that even mean? Because success is so different to everyone and so relative. And also like we need to breathe to survive.
Yeah.
Like can't there be a moment where we just take a breath and enjoy what's around us and
enjoy
the connection
the journey.
and the journey?
The journey is really important. We have to enjoy the process and the journey, but everyone's trying to get to the finish line. They're hustling to get to that end goal, and then they'll do whatever it takes. And sometimes we don't know where people come from. We don't know their past. We don't know what they've gone through and why they would sacrifice everything to have it. So that's why I try to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yes.
And I also know that I've gone through a lot, but I don't want to sacrifice my integrity to do it.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so many ways to get there and be authentic and not lose yourself within it. And it's so easy to do, especially here in LA.
It is, especially when our dreams are something that are so important to us, I think, out here as a collective. It's like we have chosen to come out and chase our dreams. And a lot of people, I think that looks like whatever I need to do to make this happen, which I can understand as well. You know, I get where that feeling comes from because I think we make a lot of big sacrifices to come out here, to do what we do, to identify ourselves as like, this is who I am and this is what I'm doing, and say that in front of the world, you know, making these choices that we make, you know, before even maybe other people have seen that in us. Like a lot of people come out here from small towns or from whatever, and people are like, oh yeah, haha, you want to be an actress or whatever it is.
Wannabe.
Right,
like,
wannabe. And
they
then
call you wannabe, like they don't take you seriously,
yes.
right?
So I think it does take a lot of guts to come out here and say, I am an actress, or I am a hairstylist, or I am a singer-songwriter. Or like you have to almost own it before anybody else is owning it for you.
Owning the title for yourself is very hard. But then also once you get that title, you will discover you want to break free from that title because it's like you want to be more than only your title.
Not just that.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. Like I remember for me, it was like, first looking in the mirror and go, I'm gay, acknowledging it and owning it. I remember the first time I came out, that was the scariest thing to do because if I can't own it, how can I tell people who I am? And I remember doing that. And that's why for a lot of people, owning that confidence, saying, I am a music artist. It took me a while to say that.
Scary, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's one thing to just say, oh, sometimes I write songs.
Yeah.
It's another thing to say, I'm a singer-songwriter. I have albums, or I have this, or like, and put yourself out there in that way. You know, I think it's like once you own it, it almost becomes a little scary because then you're like, if I fail, now I've just declared to the world that I'm doing this, and it's almost like it feels harder.
There's power in owning it.
Yeah,
and
I would agree.
If you can't own it, how can anyone, title that to you? How can anyone know that that's what you do?
I don't think they can, because the thing is, even when I think back to my own story, I felt like once I put out my very first song, Life in Rear View, and I put out a music video, suddenly people saw me in a different way. Like before I was saying like, yeah, I'm writing music, I'm working on an album. They're like, oh, haha, okay, cute.
Yeah.
And like even managers and people that I had submitted to before that I wanted to work with, like were kind of like, oh, okay, maybe. And then the second that I like put that out and put the video out, I got calls from people being like, oh, now I see what you're doing. Sometimes you almost have to take the bet on yourself, and you actually have to showcase the vision so that someone else can see it. Because like I had the vision, I knew where it was going, but until I was able to sit there and do it and show it, I think sometimes others have a harder time seeing it, right? And they have a harder time putting that kind of, oh, she's a singer-songwriter, or oh, she's a this, until you believe in yourself enough to like declare yourself that and kind of do what you need to get that out there.
And I know that we're talking about people, but the part that hurts the most is the people that are like your family members, your close friends, who don't take you seriously. And
Isn't that the worst?
That's the worst.
It's always those people. We've had this convo before, but like where I've come in or I come to you and you're telling me something and I'm like, it's always for me like the closest friends or family members that oftentimes don't celebrate the things that I'm doing. Like maybe, I don't know if it's because they've known me the longest, they don't take me seriously. I don't know what it is, but like they're shouting, the new Harry Styles album, love Harry Styles, he's amazing, but they're shouting it from the rooftops, buying the vinyl, doing all this stuff. Meanwhile, they might have a friend that like, how much work it takes to make
so much work.
Maybe people don't always realize because it's like you look at a 3.5 minute song song and you think, oh, it must not have taken that long, but there's mixing, there's mastering, there's the production, there's the photo
writing.
shoot, there's the video, there's the writing. Like there's so many aspects
Uploading
to it.
Uploading it, promoting it.
That takes so much time and energy.
So much time. And believing in the message that you write in the song.
And then having to share that message out in like in a way that people will understand and condense it. And I think sometimes, I don't know if it's that the friends and family don't realize what goes into it, but it always seems to be, like I said, the people that I'm like the closest with, that I'm like, they don't share it or they don't whatever. But then people, strangers across the country are sharing it.
And you know what's interesting? And when they see you finally, quote unquote, made it or have, quote unquote, success as they see in their eyes, then all of a sudden they know you. All of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, I've known Guy forever. Oh yeah, we were friends. I was like, yeah, but where were you the whole time? My whole journey.
And then they want to be let into everything and do all the things and get backstage passes.
They want in on everything. And it's like, but where were you this whole time? You didn't believe in me. And that's the thing. Like I have people who are supposed to be my quote unquote best friends, but they never like or comment on any of my posts. But yet I see them like and comment around circles around me, like my other friends. I was like, okay, if you are not an engager and you're not active, okay, I get it. Sure. But you're literally active everywhere else but my posts. And we're supposed to be besties.
Yeah,
and it
it's
makes me go,
to me. You notice it, right? You notice it. I always notice it too, whether I say something or not. I'm like, I really notice when somebody does share something and takes the time, or to like it, or to comment, or to like
any
build
type
you
of
up.
engagement.
Any type.
Like, a comment. And that's the thing. Like when I saw you post about your music and everything, I went on and make sure I support. If I see it,
it meant so much to me, seriously.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I can't believe, like, Guy, you're so busy. I know you're so busy. You're doing a million things. The fact that you took the time to listen to my song, to comment about what you thought about it, like, it meant so much to me. It goes a long way, you know, to do that. And you know, I don't know if it's because I know what it's like to be an artist. You know what it's like to be an artist. Maybe we get it in a different level, that like some people, my only thing I can think is that some people have never put themselves out there like that artistically to know what it feels like to put your heart and soul in that way and take a huge risk and put it out. So maybe they don't understand like how much it means to us. That's the only thing I can think, or they don't believe in us. I don't know what it is, but to me, I think even if you're not a poster, you know, say you're not an engager, you kind of just use social media to browse. Because I have friends like that. Yeah. It takes 1 minute to go send somebody a text saying, congratulations, your song's out, or your new product is out for your company. Like it doesn't take that much effort to do that.
And the thing is, they'll go like, they'll text me, I miss you, I'm thinking about you, but I just released an album. Right. And you didn't even acknowledge, you didn't even text me. Do you know how much work go into releasing this album? I worked on this album for 2 years, and you say, oh, I miss you. Do you? Do you really miss me?
Right, because you're like, did you even know that I did this thing, or did you just not care?
No, they just miss what you can do for them.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They miss, and that's how I could distinguish who my real friends are, who is truly authentic. It's all about that energy.
You can feel it, right?
I can feel it. I wasn't born yesterday. Yeah. And you know that which one is a surface friend and which one's a real friend. Yeah. And I said, okay, I'll take it for what it is. You're a surface friend.
Or the friend who comes to something just so that they can ask for something like the second after. You know what I mean? You can kind of feel that energy too sometimes, where you're like, they'll show the support, but then it's kind of like just so that right after you're getting a request. And there's a time and place for that. Obviously, everything's give and take. If somebody supports me, of course I want to support you in return, right? Yeah. But there's a time and a place for it.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can tell when someone's busy and they're all over the place, but they'll get around to it. Like maybe a week later they'll comment or they'll text you. The most important is acknowledging. Yeah. And this is something I always say, that acknowledge is action and knowledge. If you know something, take action of it. But a lot of people don't do that. And they stay silent. And sometimes silence says a lot. Sometimes,
it says more than words, as they say, right? Yeah. Like sometimes it's the most powerful and the loudest.
The mere fact that you didn't acknowledge. And that's the thing. Yeah. Why can't we normalize, congratulating someone's accomplishment? But a lot of people, they only normalize congratulating something that they can relate to. Like, for example, congratulations on your wedding or your marriage, congratulate on your baby.
Yeah.
They congratulate.
They get that.
They get that. But they don't realize that you sacrificed 2 years of your life, everything.
Right, I'm like, this album is my wedding, pretty much, because it took me that amount of like energy, time, planning, money, everything to do this.
Work, blood, sweat, tears, emotions, vulnerability.
Yeah, lots of sleepless nights, crying. Yeah.
Yes. but they don't treat these things as such.
As big life events. But if I were to get married or have a kid, I'm pretty sure the same people that are not congratulating over those things would be calling, would be sending their whatever, their congratulations.
And I know that you have some struggles with this on social media, right? You have some...
Yeah, with I just put out a song called Build a Dream, which is really all about our dreams and what they mean to us, even when they're different from what society's expectations are for us and what the standard progression of things are. Because, in society, there's you go to school, you get a job, you date, you get married, you have kids. There's this progression that kind of people expect from you. And the song is sort of asking well, what if that's not my dream? Is that okay? Because I feel like, a lot of people, I've been with my boyfriend for 7 years now, and once I kind of hit a certain point, a lot of people couldn't, I'd go out and they'd be like, why are you not married? When are you getting married? Do I need to, pressure him? Do I need to? And I'm like, whoa, that's not, they're making a lot of assumptions that I'm just sitting there desperately waiting for him to propose to me, right? And I'm like, that's pretty assumptive because you don't know the private convos I've had with him, when in the reality, it's actually been more me having the hesitation to move forward, in part because it's a big life commitment. It's time consuming to plan a wedding. It takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of commitment. Respectfully so, as it should. It's a big life moment. I agree with that. But, at the moment, I've been putting a lot of time, energy, money into making an album. And that's where my focus has been. And I couldn't imagine planning a wedding and planning that, because it's taken me so much of my emotional energy. And I think people don't, like I said, like we were just saying, don't always see that as the same value. It's because this is where I want to put my heart, soul, energy into the moment. I'm not saying that I'm never going to get married, but why are you expecting that I have to at this moment? Why are you pressuring me? Because you don't really know maybe the full story. And then on top of that, like I said, I am putting my time and energy into this other thing. And it's sort of is that not okay? Can this be celebrated? Are you only willing to come and celebrate me if I'm getting married, having kids, doing all these things that are the traditional dreams? Or are my dreams also valid? Do you know what I mean?
I can relate to you in, many ways, because a lot of people expect me to be okay, he has this brand, he has this color line, he needs to open up a beauty school, he needs to do this, he needs to do that. Why is he doing music? What is he doing? What's going on? I was like, can I be happy?
Right.
Can I live my life, or do I only exist when I'm working?
Right.
And when I post I am eating or doing something else, people get mad because it's wait, why aren't you doing hair?
Can I be a human?
Yeah. Can I eat? Can I do other things
right.
that makes me happy? But the other things, when they see you pursuing something else that isn't relatable, music, it confuses people, and they don't realize that the message I'm sending out is do everything your heart dream of. You have this one life.
Yeah.
Do everything that is best for you. No one can tell you how to live your life and how to be happy. Everyone wants you to go through those traditional routes. Oh, go to college, and after college, get this job, and after get this job, you got to get married, then you got to have kids, you got to have white picket fence. All this is painted out for you.
Right.
And when are you going to have that baby?
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes that's not what you want for you.
Don't you think a lot of people I don't want to generalize that this is everybody, because I do think for some people those are their dreams, right? But don't you think for some people they do follow those progressions because that's what they feel like they should do, that's what they feel like is expected of them, and then they think that's going to fulfill some void in them, and a lot of times you realize maybe it doesn't, or I wish I had gone and done music, or I wish I had tried I've had, even just knowing from people in my family who took more traditional routes, took more traditional professions that have been like, I wish I was a sculptor. Like I tried sculpting. I wish I did certain things. You make sacrifices both ways is all I'm saying. Like I might look back and go, oh, I wish I had a kid or I wish I got married young and I wish I got to experience that. But I got to experience this other aspect of life that was like really calling me and I just had to trust my intuition. Other people might see the reverse. I wish I tried an artistic trade. I wish I believed in my dreams before I kind of went down this traditional, you know what I mean? There's a sacrifice both ways. We only have so much time in life. You got to just do what feels right.
That's why I see so many people as they get older in their 60s or 70s, they get bitter because they never got to live their dream. And they watch like these young folks living their best life, doing what they want, being so daring, being so brave to live their dreams. It's because they wish they would have done it too. And this is something I always told myself. When I'm 60 or 70, I don't want to look back and go, why didn't I do that?
What if, right?
What if? You know? And I don't ever want to ask myself, what if? I want to give it all I have. And if things don't work out, things didn't go my way, I know I did everything I could and I fulfilled my dream and live it and experience it because I don't want to live with regrets. And a lot of people do. And that's why people do get, they'll judge you because you dare to dream and you dare to live that dream. And that's the thing. Dreams are for those who are asleep. You have to wake up and make it happen.
I love that. Yeah, and I find what you're doing so inspiring, by the way, because I really do see you as somebody who is exploring all aspects of yourself and your dream. And I think it's really amazing that you're doing that because, yeah, you could go create a hair school, like you said, do these things that everybody expects from you. But like, how cool is it that you're this hairstylist, professional colorist, and you have all these amazing, beautiful music videos, all this beautiful music, all different types of genres. Like, to me, it makes you so much more interesting because I get to go see this other aspect of you, and it almost like they reinforce each other for me because I go like, this is an expression of beauty as well and color and, the set design and the costumes, and I know you care so much about that stuff. I do too. So I notice it because I'm like, I love the visuals and like the kind of detail. But to me, that they're both aspects. Like you put that kind of detail and vision into your hair, the same detail and vision that you're putting into your music and your videos.
Well, the multifacets and dimensions in our life, they supplement each other. For example, I studied photography before I went to beauty school.
I didn't know that.
Because I studied photography, it helps me understand lighting and how to shoot photos of
You are
my
really
hair.
good at that.
And I take beautiful hair photos.
You really do. I've like, no one's shot photos of my hair like you.
If I never studied photography and do all that, I wouldn't even know how to shoot the photos, take photos of the hair and understand lighting the way I do.
But so imagine if somebody told you, why are you wasting your time with photography? You're supposed to be a hairstylist. Like, wouldn't you be, it's like you're limiting the potential because these things actually do complement each other. It's like, because I have such an acting background and I went to USC for acting and I studied it for years and have been doing it since I was very young. And then I decided I wanted to be a singer-songwriter because I was like, I write all these songs on my bed at 3 a.m. and it's like, I can't stop doing it. I love it. But at the time that I said that, a lot of people were like, why would you waste your time? You're already focused on being an actor. It took you so long to like get to this place. Why would you suddenly whatever? Not realizing that like actually my acting really plays into who I am as a singer-songwriter because I tell a lot of stories on stage. I do a lot of improvising. I play characters for each song kind of. I take on those characters for music videos. So actually my acting background really benefits me, I think, more than people realize. Like having that comfort level with being on camera and speaking and being in front of an audience, like I think that I would have been much more shy and reserved. There are some singer-songwriters that their thing is to kind of close their eyes and just play. Mine is kind of the opposite. I'm like, I love to look at the audience. I love to like make that connection. And I think a lot of that comes from like the comfort level of having the experience as an actor. So it's sort of like what you were saying with the photography. You might not think, oh, immediately this is connecting. Some might say, oh, you're wasting your time or whatever, not realizing the full big picture of like where your individual stories going.
And that's why nobody can tell you how to live your life and be this way. No one can tell you which roadmap to follow. And that's why I always like pave out my own path. Like I lay down the bricks, you know, because a lot of people like to follow the yellow brick road. They feel like the yellow brick road will lead you to the Emerald City because, oh, that's where the wizard is. The wizard will grant you all these things that you want.
All your wishes.
And then when you get there, you realize he's just a man behind a curtain. It wasn't real. Everything isn't real. And that you hold the power the whole time. You control
your destiny.
Exactly, because Dorothy had the red ruby slippers on the whole time. She controlled her destiny, but she didn't know she had that power.
Wow.
And so she followed this yellow brick road. And that's why it's like we're always trying to follow this path. I want to be the next this or the next this. But sometimes you got to lay down your own bricks. And you have your own path. And sometimes that path is being a photographer first.
It looks very different from other people's. That's why I kind of, you know, one of my least favorite phrases is that jack of all trades, master of nothing phrase that people have loved to throw at me throughout my life because I've kind of always done a lot of different things. And it's like, I hate that phrase. Can we can we cancel that phrase?
Yeah, cancel. Well, I mean, okay, first of all, I do a bunch of things, right?
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example. In the hairstylist world, they make you choose. Are you a cutter, a colorist, a barber? Do you perm hair? Do you do extensions?
Yes, you're so right.
Do you only do blondes? Are you a specialty in blondes or whatever?
Yeah.
They make you choose these categories.
They so do.
Do you do kids? And what if I want to do them all? Why do I have to choose? And what if I decide to choose later?
And how boring would that be if your whole life you only just did the one thing? Like you could be completely limiting what you could create, what you could envision.
Hey, if that's great for you, that's what you want to do, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you haven't tried it yet, give it a try. You might like it more than you think, and you might not even know your own potential. Give it a chance, and that's the very important part is taking that risk. And sometimes instead of running away from your fear, because some people are afraid to perm hair or whatever, I run towards my fear. You know,
ooh, I love that.
I don't run away from it. I run towards it. I say, okay, I'm scared of perm. Let's do this. Now,
I think I'm a healthy balance. Sometimes I'm like,
yeah, but don't go crazy.
I run towards it.
I don't like sharks or alligators because I am scared.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's
There's no swimming with sharks.
No, I can't.
Maybe someday we'll go swimming with sharks, and it'll be the follow up to the.
Yeah, that's my next chapter. I said, I'm ready to face that fear. Let's go swimming.
Yeah, well, it'll cut from a clip of you going like, no sharks, no alligators to us like underwater. Yeah.
That might be the next, evolution
phase of
in our
life.
Right? You know, and this comes back to, a lot of us as entertainers, right? Everyone, you have to evolve in order to grow, right? You look at entertainers in our time, like Madonna, who's able to evolve like 4 or 5 decades.
I love that.
I love that.
Those are my favorite performers, are the ones that don't stay the same and that they evolve.
They evolve, they grow.
Even when people are like, oh, why are they doing that? They always end up on top, I feel. The ones that are not afraid to like take a massive genre shift or
and they open doors
new
for
movies, like
others.
when Matthew McConaughey did Dallas Buyers Club and like everyone thought he could only do rom-coms. I love when people shock us like that.
Even with music, like pick a genre. Are you a country singer, a rapper, a hip-hop artist, or a pop artist, or a ballad? Like they make you choose a category.
Even when you submit like a song for distribution, like I just did this the other day. I have a song called Over You coming out, or that might be out by the time this is out, actually. But I had to, they made me fill out, like, is it pop? Is it dance? Is it electro pop? Is it country? Is it, you know what I mean?
And everything.
And it's kind of a blend. Like it's got kind of a pop percussion. It's got kind of like dreamy guitars. It's got high energy vocals. It's a mix. Like I'm like, it's whatever the heck you want to call it. I don't even want to put the song in a box because they're trying to make me and I don't like it.
Well, that's the thing. Everybody wants to make you choose.
Yeah.
Like they make you choose everything in life. Or, when I first came out the closet, okay, do you like women or men? I said, I don't know. I'm trying to figure my stuff out. Can I go through this journey?
Give me a second? Yeah.
Give me a second. Okay, what are you, a top or bottom? What type of men do you like? I was like, I don't know.
even know yet. Yeah.
It's like,
and it might change over time. Yes. I mean, right? We're not always one thing.
That's what people don't realize. Things change. We change as humans. As we grow, we experience things. And that's why I always tell people, you might know yourself today, but you have to learn who you are tomorrow, because you learn something new today and it changes your perspective by tomorrow and you become a new person. And so you have to relearn who you are tomorrow, even though you know yourself right now and in this moment. Our identities evolve. And sometimes that's
constantly shifting. Right when you think you figured it out is when something happens that you realize that maybe you don't, right?
And that's why some friendship ends, because you evolve apart because you couldn't evolve together. And sometimes people don't understand why are you doing this? Oh, I don't get this person. And then as soon as they feel like you succeeded, then they circle back around. It's like, I know Kara.
And you're we've been way apart for years.
So now it's convenient. Because I have experience in this, because I remember when I started my YouTube channel doing hair, people were laughing at me, right? Because back then, I was known more for being a go-go dancer. I was doing sex.
No way, really? I didn't know that.
I was doing sexy modeling. I was always shirtless. I was dancing at nightclubs. And so a lot of my audience who followed me back in 2009 and 10, like on MySpace in those days.
They were used to that other aspect of you, yeah.
And when I start introducing hair, they go like, what's this boring stuff? And then they didn't want to watch me. They didn't care about it. And they told me to stick to taking my clothes off and being sexy and not doing this hair stuff. And they didn't understand. But as soon as I start to, establish myself with doing hair, then all of a sudden they forgot that I was doing go-go dancing.
You were able to kind of establish a whole new identity as well.
And then people will start trying to dig up that past, and they're just like, oh my God, did you realize he did this?
Oh my God, I was like,
look, I'm human. I'm able to go through this journey. If I didn't go dance, I would be scared to go on stage. I was able to face my fear. Now I go up on stage, I'm able to give presentations because I'm not scared anymore.
Yeah, you've already done it in this other capacity. It's it's so interesting because we are allowed to evolve, right? We're allowed to change our mind on things. We're allowed to express new aspects of ourselves and bring parts of our past into the present that allow us to do what we're doing now. I mean, don't you think on some level that is why maybe cancel culture is what's the word I'm looking for? I feel like
it's very prominent in these past 3 years, right?
Cancel culture, it almost is like you're not allowed to evolve as a human because of this cancel culture in a way.
I watched this movie, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and the message at the end was very powerful. It says, everyone deserves a second chance.
Wow, yeah.
I mean, I guess it depends how severe your first
mistake what's the first offense?
What's the first offense first? But if it's something subtle and there's some type of redemption, hear it out to make sure the apology is authentic. Because you could always tell when someone's authentic, and you could always tell if someone maybe wasn't educated.
Sure.
Because that's the thing. A lot of people don't know.
Right.
People don't know what they don't know.
Until they do, right? Until someone maybe teaches them or until someone expresses something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a part of growth, right?
A lot of us don't know everything.
No.
When we got together, as I was doing your hair, we have these conversations. I got to know you. We have deep conversations. And I peel back all these layers of being insecure and being, and you got to know more about me. I got to know more about you.
Yeah.
And then, you might not be an Asian gay man.
But I learned a lot about what it was like to be an Asian gay man, which I remember we had this whole really long convo, and
deep
convo, which I really value that conversation because, to be honest, I learned a lot from it. I see things from a different perspective now because you've had such a different journey and path than I've had. I've had a different journey and path than you've had. It's you have to be willing to listen and be willing to learn from different people's experiences and realize maybe I don't actually know everything at this moment, right? Because I've never experienced that. There's been things we've talked about that I'm I have not even thought of that because it just has never even come into my sphere,
Mm-hmm. And that's, going back to success, we talked about that earlier. A lot of people might not be aware of what their purpose is. They'll do all these things, but they're like, what's my purpose? Why am I doing this? I'm just going through the motion. And they get bored. And when you do things without knowing your purpose, sometimes you could get lost. Knowing your purpose is something that you keep on having to ask yourself why. You go why, and then you get that answer. Then ask why to that answer, and keep going down till you get down to the root of why. And when you understand why, you start to learn your purpose, harness that purpose, and that mission is going to give you, that success that a lot of us are looking for, which is happiness, purpose, intention. And
regardless of what we're doing, right? Yeah.
And sometimes that success has nothing to do with fame, followers, money.
Followers. It's feeling, like you said, like you have a purpose, and like you're living that purpose sometimes is really fulfilling.
Because you could be famous and feel unfulfilled.
Well, how many people do hit the thing that they're willing to sacrifice whatever for, and then they realize that they're really unhappy? I mean, I'm sure you know people like that. I certainly know people like that have like hit the thing that they were looking to hit, and then they realize, whoa.
You mean like awards and...
whatever it is. Yeah, like awards, or I mean, it could be anything. Accolades, fame.
Yeah.
Whatever, huge success. And then you realize, like, you sometimes talk to them and you realize that they're like maybe not actually enjoying it.
Yeah, sometimes it's perspective and perception. Like, for example, I get lonely and I have a lot of insecurities. I go through a lot of emotions.
Yeah.
But I had a conversation with my mom the other day, and my mom was like, what are you talking about? You look so happy on Instagram and YouTube, and you look like you're launching all these products and you're doing the most and you're so happy. What do you mean you're going through stuff? And I was like, Mom, just because you see I post something doesn't mean I'm posting about what I feel inside my head.
At all moments. Yeah.
At every moment. Like, I'm still processing.
Also, sometimes when you're processing, I don't know about for you, but like when I'm still processing something, sometimes that's when it's harder for me to share about it publicly because I'm not to the other side of it. It's easier for me to sometimes share about things once I'm to the other side, right? Because then I can go, okay, now I know what I'm trying to say. I learned the lesson from it. Someone else might gain some value from this. But when I'm like in the middle of going through it, chances are pretty high you're not going to hear about it like on social media, right?
No, because you're not sure what the answer is. You're not sure what your process is. And you have to let it simmer and wait to see what surfaces, right? Because you start throwing things out there, you're like, wait, you can't take that back because you're not sure what that is.
That was what was so scary about the Build a Dream song for me, because it was the first time ever that I put out a song that I didn't actually have the answer for. The whole song is about like self-discovery. I don't know, like, is it okay to not know what you want and to figure it out? And so to me, that whole process sort of felt like I was just like, like on the roller coaster, like not, I'm putting something out that I'm like getting questions that I don't even know the answer to. And to be honest, it was a little scary.
But it's also very relatable because it's okay to not be okay. It's also okay to not know. It's also okay to not have the answer yet. And that's a song and a story that a lot of us are singing in our heads. And your song and the title and what you just shared is so real.
Thank you. Yeah. I convinced myself to put it out because I'm like, I don't know when I'm going to have an answer for this. And this is a song I wrote about not knowing in that process. And I was like, maybe someone out there needs to hear about that. Needs to hear about the in-between, the not knowing. Because I think so much we share about the highs, the lows, but sometimes the in-between gets a little lost when so much of our life actually does happen in that in-between of figuring stuff out,
I am most vulnerable in my music. I have a lot of people ask me, would you choose hair or music? I say they're two different things.
Yeah.
For me, music, I own it, right? I could be 80 years old. I'll look back. This is something I wrote.
It's almost like a diary, right?
It's a diary. I share my most vulnerable inside, my pain, my heartache. I share all of my insecurities through my music.
Yeah.
I have songs like Eye of the Storm. I have songs like Superpower.
Yeah, what do you think is your most vulnerable song? I'm just curious.
There's so many, to be honest.
They're all like you tend to write from that vulnerable place.
Well, we had this conversation because you mentioned because I mentioned that your songs are very has a lot of happiness and joy, that I've heard. And then I was like, God, is my songs too depressing? Do I not have a bop? do I not have a bop? Am I boring?
You have bops. You've got bops.
Because I'm so emotional.
But your vulnerability. So this is what I think is really cool about you. It's like your vulnerability shines, but it also is a freaking bop. Like like superpower.
Yeah.
It's a bop, but you are. There's the vulnerability to get to the place where you are acknowledging your superpower, right?
Yeah, because the song
you show both sides.
The song Superpower is about acknowledging your growth and who you are, because who you were pretending to be for someone else wasn't who you are. Because that song was written about how I was in a relationship with a girl for 10 years and I lived a lie.
You told me about this. That was so crazy to me.
If I truly love her, I have to let her go and set her free, even though it hurts.
Because you did love her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people don't understand the difference between love and sexuality. They say, but I thought you're gay. I said, of course I'm gay, but I didn't know that.
Love somebody still, yeah.
I could still love her, and that's why I couldn't abandon her. I couldn't give up on her. I tried so hard, but I realized none of us were happy together.
Yes.
She wanted to have kids, get married, have a family.
And you couldn't provide that for her.
I couldn't provide that because I would be miserable. So I realized in order for her to live that dream, I had to let her go.
Which was probably super painful.
I cried. I cried for like a decade. And I still cry till today sometimes. And because I knew...
You and I are so similar. Yeah. I've had similar experience. Yeah. Not in the sense I'm not gay and I haven't had that exact experience, but...
That's the power of music. Yeah. Music is so healing. And that's why when people make me choose to hair or music, I said, why would you make me choose something that saves me? Because if I am happy doing music, I'm going to do more hair videos and tutorials. I'm not stopping that because I still love doing hair. Hair is something that helps me be artistic and be physical, and music it's a diary.
It's totally different medium, right? And also, like, I loved your music videos for that too. Like, I felt like you really showcased that story in your music videos.
Thank you.
As well. If people don't know, but they should. It's like, it's really artistically beautifully done. That was when I was like, I'm a big Guy Tang fan. Because like the way that that you bridged the song to the video to your life story and like did it so beautifully and artistically. I mean, I was like, I'm a forever fan.
Thank you. All of my favorite songs that I have are usually my ballads. Like on my first album, my favorite was Till I Found You, which is a song I dedicate to my husband. It's that love song of self-discovery, of how I found myself when I met him. And then Eye of the Storm was such a personal song. It's about escaping Oklahoma and risking it all to be myself.
I love that.
It's very personal.
Yeah.
And learn to love.
Which is a big part of your story.
Learn to love. I can't wait for you to see that. It's about learning to love myself. And it's such, oh my God, the music video is so intense.
I can't wait.
Look, I was underwater for like...
Oh yeah, the underwater.
10 hours
I can't wait to
a day.
See that one. Okay.
I faced my fear. Like I had to be
that
underwater.
That is scary to me.
Breathe in the oxygen tank for like 10 hours. It was intense.
No, that seems really scary to me. I'm hats off to you. Like, I can't wait to see that. That, like, being underwater scares me. Like, especially, like, I went scuba diving one time, and it was, like, a training kind of a thing, and breathing, that it doesn't feel normal. Like, it's like, you don't feel like you're breathing
differently.
Yeah, you breathe differently. It's a little, like, claustrophobic,
it
right?
is.
And
the pressure.
it made me realize I'm a little claustrophobic.
There's so much pressure under deep water.
Yeah.
And this goes back to why I grew as a person making music, because I make music videos and I face my fears while
you challenged yourself to do this, yeah.
And if I just go, stick to hair, I wouldn't have done that for myself. I wouldn't be proud of myself that I go, you know what? I face one of my biggest fears is being under deep water for 10 hours and learning how to breathe through a tank, feeling claustrophobic, feeling like I'm going to drown, feeling at peace and center with myself underwater.
Wow.
And that's why I'm saying, like, it's so important for us to evolve and do things that we have never
maybe
done.
Are a little scary to us, yeah.
Yes.
Because it's easy to just be like, I'm not going to do it because I'm a little scared.
Yeah. It could be something simple, like if you're afraid of perms, I know a lot. A lot of people who follow me are hairstylists. So if you're afraid of doing perms and you're used to doing highlights, don't be afraid. You will actually learn more about curls. Like, I learned more about curls after I permed my hair curly. Now I'm so confident with curls and I understand it better. And
because you had that experience to take care of the curls and understand what that was like. And
life is about experiencing things.
Yeah, it makes me think, because like I always say this about being a performer because I always felt like I was one of the least likely people to actually become a performer because I went through periods of really deep insecurity where I didn't want to be seen at all, like at school or any, like, you know.
You want to be invisible almost.
Yeah,
right?
I wanted to be. I felt like I felt so insecure, and I actually have a song about this that's not out yet. That's kind of the title track of my next record called California Queen. But it's like, I felt so deeply insecure that I was like, I'd rather just like hide in the bathroom, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or I'd do anything to just like not be seen. I sometimes like didn't go on dates with people because I just like felt insecure. And I even though I really wanted to, you know, I felt like I couldn't show up as my best self. And so I didn't go. And then I had guys think like I didn't like them. Like, oh, she wasn't interested in me. I'm like, that wasn't it. I was just super insecure. But like being a performer was the last thing I thought I would have done because of that. But it actually has forced me to get out of that. Being an actor, being a singer, putting myself on stage, putting myself out there for auditions, like has helped me actually become in many ways the best version of myself.
More confident.
Yeah,
right?
I had to get over a lot of those deep fears. I had to take care of my like physical health in a lot of ways. I've had to like really reframe the way that I see things, the way that I take care of my body, the way that I take care of my mind in order to be able to like get up there and do that. And I think in a lot of ways, even though it was really scary to me and even though it was like, whoa, like I could just pick something easier than this because this is a lot for me, it actually challenged me to like become the better version of myself. I hope the best is still yet to come, but the better version of myself.
And the fact that you're sharing a story, it relates back to the song Twilight that I recorded with you in the music video. Okay, so a lot of people think Twilight just means like the sun's going down, right? Twilight is actually when you're in a state of decline, when you're lost and confused. So there's layers to the word. So as the sun set, you're feeling lost. Because if you look it up in a dictionary, that's what Twilight.
It actually means. That's so interesting.
It's very deep. And what's really cool is that I tied into my hair color line. I have a color called Twilight, and then I have a color line. Yes, I have a whole collection called Midnight. And
I love that.
A lot of people think midnight means it's midnight, 12 a.m. No, midnight is being stuck between time. It's like it's the end of the day.
2 different days, right? You're in between.
And the beginning of a new day. So it's like you end the day, you start a new day. So you close a chapter, you open up a new chapter. Midnight is about being in between.
And a lot happens at midnight.
Yes.
Right? Like, because you could either be asleep, ready for the next day, or you could still be in your past day, like really in a very interesting time period of it.
And this also gives you hope. It's that, you might struggle today, but, there's another day and you will go on and it's going to be okay. And that's what midnight is so symbolic.
That's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah, a lot of people know that.
I didn't know that about the symbolism, although I love that album. I think that it's amazing.
That's why all the colors that I launched in my brand are so deep. I launched a color series called Naked. It's about being honest, being vulnerable, being real. I launched a collection called Shadows, which means shadows exist because there's light. So no matter how you feel like you're in the shadow, know that shadows exist because there's a light above you. There's a spotlight shining. There might be something, blocking your way. But even if you stand in the spotlight, you look down, you see that shadow.
Well, that's one of my favorite things about your hairline because you've been telling me as I've been at your place getting my hair done and it's been amazing. But you've told me some of the stories of your hairline and I was like, whoa, like this is really intricate. Like, and I have a lot of respect for that because I'm like, you put a lot of thought into like the story of each.
It gives it a heartbeat, a pulse, and that's a Naked Glow.
I can feel that. Yeah,
it's the color I use on you. Naked Glow.
Is it Naked Glow?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like a nude gold color. So and then I also use Twilight Dream. So I use Twilight and Naked on you.
Everything we're talking about. Well, first of all, I love this color. I'm like talking about
warm.
I love this. Yeah, we love warm here.
Yeah.
You and me.
Warm color is my favorite color to do. And
you do it really well.
I mean, can we talk about like hair color and identity for you?
Yes.
Okay, share your story about your hair color.
So I'm a blonde, naturally a level 8?
Yeah. You're a natural level 8. Yeah. Very ashy.
You told me, very ashy, which I said was ugly blonde, and you were like, don't say that.
I was like, don't say that. I was like, you have your natural hair color is beautiful.
Because it's a little bit on the cooler, ashier tones, and I do like it. And I'm again like maybe someday I will rock it again. Maybe you're gonna be like, don't do that. No, you'll let me. But I'm saying like we love warm, so I decided to go red, and I felt like it just made me a lot bolder, a lot braver. Like my friend Betsy and I had this joke because we were kind of making, instead of New Year's resolutions, we were picking what was the year, like the year of the what, because it's hard to remember resolutions. So I said like, oh, it's the year of the bold, because I was gonna dye my hair red, and it actually did end up becoming the year of the bold. Like I felt like I put myself out there more, I stood up for myself more. Like it was a reflection of that, you know. And I felt like people were treating me differently with the red hair too. It was like I got like almost more attention in a way, because I think less people maybe have red because it's a little more unique. So people would be like, whoa, like cool color. And it kind of forced me out of my comfort zone a little bit. And like now, obviously, this is kind of more in the blonde zone, like a warm blonde, like strawberry, golden.
Blonde, yes.
Yeah. So it's now I've kind of
marry the two. You get your a little bit of that copper gold into the blonde, and this complements you so well.
Thank you.
And what's interesting is it leads into a conversation about stereotypes and hair color and perception of like your hair length. Like people think there's if you're a woman with short hair, there's a stereotype for that. If you're a girl with long hair, if you're a girl with brown hair, if you're a girl with blonde hair, if you're a girl with red hair, there's all these stereotypes and how people perceive you and how they treat you and how people fetishize a certain color.
Interesting, right?
So it's very interesting. And I want to know what your perspective is on hair color and stereotypes, being red, being blonde, being ashy.
Well, I can really speak on this because I feel like as an actor, we're so stereotyped based on our hair color and what we look like as well. And so for a while when I had extensions and I was really blonde, and I felt like I kept getting called in for like the biatchy girl, the cheerleader, that kind of like socialite type
cheerleader.
thing.
Like a mean girl?
Like a mean girl, which is funny because I don't feel like I really fit. Like I always kind of felt like I'll go out for this, but I just don't know if I'm the direct shoe-in for this. Not because I'm like not mean, just because I don't know if I'm a little like awkward sometimes. I'm like, I don't know if that's like the immediate thing you would think to cast me as once you know my personality, but because of the hair, I would get called in for that. And I think it was really interesting because at one point, one of my agents, I had like one of the biggest teenage agents at the time, and she was telling me, okay, well, you either need to like, this was pre-hair extensions, but she was telling me you either need to get hair extensions and abs and go for like Blake Lively types, or she's like, you need to gain like 5 pounds and like go brown and like try to play the girl next door. Because she was saying that it was too confusing.
Here we go again, making you choose.
Right. And I was like, well, what do you mean? So like, I kind of felt this weird pressure that like me being me was like somehow not enough. Like,
it's so annoying that like all these stereotypes, there's all these stereotypes that like defines people and traps you in the box yet again, and then you get typecasted because it's survival. It's like I have friends who became single. They go, I need to be blonde because it gives me attention. Or I need to have extensions because guys like long hair. Like and it all leads back to representation.
I know, the stereotypes.
Right. It goes back to representation as well, because this was what's represented in media for centuries or decades. It's like, oh, blonde hair, long hair.
Well, it was like the Gossip Girl at the time. That's why she was saying like, oh, well, you could either do the Gossip Girl thing or you could do this, but they're different.
Right. And there's a power in owning whatever it is that you are that makes you so different. So if you decide to cut all your hair off and have a pixie cut and make it blue and greens, but
awesome.
But if you own it, that's everything. You have to carry that with confidence, and that's scary for a lot of people because I know for me, like our sexuality, how we identify ourselves and our gender, is how we want to be perceived sometimes. I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
For me, growing up as an Asian man in Oklahoma before there was, YouTube and Instagram, I didn't see Asian men on television unless we're doing kung fu. It's like, or playing a nerd character. So I always felt like I can never be a pop star. I can never be these things or a celebrity hairstyles or do all these things because it's like, no, it's just too safe.
Or like the action hero physique or the
main character energy.
The main character energy that we've talked about.
Yeah, I felt like I wasn't supposed to be a main character. I was supposed to be a background person because that's how we're always treated. And I need to do kung fu or something. And I said, I don't know how to do kung fu. I'm not good at math. I don't fit these stereotypes. And that's why for the longest time, I fought to have masculinity. I was like, I got to have short hair. I got to have facial hair. I almost got facial hair transplant because I want a full beard because I want to feel
that was masculine,
burly.
right?
I want to feel like a bear. I want to feel like I got to have chest hairs down here because, I'm from Oklahoma. I feel like I wasn't man enough. So I kept on trying to compensate because society, media, everyone is telling me, and then I'll hear girls, say like, well, I'm attracted to a real man. And then in the gay community, you hear the gay guys say like, I want me a real man. I want me a daddy. I want like a man who has some, a beard or a chest hair. And I didn't have those things. So I didn't feel like I was ever man enough. So I fought my whole life to identify as a man. And then when I came out of a closet as a gay man, then there's all these stereotypes of being gay. Like, oh, you're feminine and you're going to be girly. You're going to be these things. It's like, why can't I just be myself? I don't even know. I have to figure it out.
Oh my God, stereotypes every step of the way, right?
There are stereotypes. Here. I was like, oh my God, just let me be whatever I am. And so sometimes, when I first presented myself as a music artist, it was so important for me to break those stereotypes that, that they put on Asian men. Like they'll say Asian men is feminine or we're emasculated and we get desexualized. So I wanted to prove that Asian men can have abs. We have a nice body. So in my music video, Quit on Us, Take Me As I Am, More to Me, you'll see all of my music videos. Silent Treatment, Tell Me It's Over.
Yes, I just watched that one the other day. Silent Treatment.
All of them. I'm like naked in all of them because I want to show like
I love it.
Because you see these.
Especially knowing that kind of back history too. It's like even more powerful. I mean, it was already powerful, but knowing that even adds a whole other layer to it.
A lot of people didn't get it. They thought like, oh, Guy is being extra. He just wanted to show off. He's so conceited. He's so cocky and full of himself. But no, my message is to fill that void from myself, for the little kid in me.
You knew the purpose, going back to purpose, like the why behind it, knew it. Yeah.
I knew it all along. It's because I never saw that sexy Asian hunk growing up in movies and films. So I go like, I want to fulfill this. I mean, I saw like so many, like, D'Angelo. I saw Usher, and they'll take off their shirts. Like, oh, that's so cool. And then I'll see like, all these pop stars and rock stars. They rip off their shirt. And I go like, but can I do that? I'm
like,
Asian.
How come none of them are Asian?
Yeah. So I said, I want to do that for myself. But then I got made fun of. I got teased. They would laugh at me. Like, what is he doing? He's so extra. Oh, my God. And so
I hate that.
That's why for me, in the beginning of my music career, I really wanted to prove myself being this, Asian masculine, breaking stereotype, but yet be in touch with my femininity at the same time. But at this point, my 5th album in, I was like, you know what? I am ready to prove to my own self that I can be myself, whatever that is.
Whatever that looks like, right?
Yeah.
That's the sometimes that's the hardest thing.
I have long hair. I have soft skin. I don't have full facial hair. I don't have chest hair. I like to wear glittery stuff.
No, you look amazing.
I want to do me.
Whatever that is, right?
Whatever that is, a label. And so, and that goes into like, we've talked about this while we're doing your hair, like misogyny and toxic masculinity.
Yes. It's something I find really interesting to discuss because I think it's really pervasive. And I think that a lot of like the issues that we face in our society can be boiled down to some of that toxic masculinity being pushed throughout the culture. You know what I mean? And I think it's really interesting that that we're sometimes feeding into that.
And it really messed up my mind growing up because I was told I have to play with G.I. Joe. I couldn't play with Barbie. I was told that I have to like blue and not pink.
Oh, I hate this.
So I couldn't be myself growing up.
And guys can't cry and all these things. And you're like, I'm sensitive. I have emotions. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I suppressed so much of my feelings growing up. So I was confused with my gender identity, being gay, liking feminine things.
Yeah.
Trying to prove myself to the world because and then the stereotypes of Asian men on top of being gay. It was just like, it was overwhelming. And that's also,
my gosh.
And that's also misogyny. And that's also toxic masculinity.
It's really dangerous, I think, think, for our society, because not only does it make people feel like they can't be themselves, but it also means that a lot of people are repressing what they feel and what they want and what they think and their emotions. And I think that that can be expressed in really negative ways. Like, I mean, I hate to say this, maybe this is too negative, but I feel like, you know, a lot of the mass shootings are men. I think it's like we can't deny that. We have to look at that stat and be like, okay, why is this, right? And I'm sure some of it comes down to mental health, but part of that is because I think men are not allowed to feel their emotions. They don't feel like women. I can call my friends up at all times, tell them I'm feeling unhinged, you know, and they are like, I'm with you, girl. Like, let's talk about it. But I think some guys feel like they can't do that because they're going to be judged if they say, I'm emotional right now. I don't really know what's happening in my life. My parents are going through a divorce or whatever it is. They don't feel like they can share. It comes out in negative ways.
When I was trying to be straight for the 28 years of my life, I felt that. I felt like I couldn't cry. I hold back my tears, and it drove me crazy.
Yeah.
And then when I came out as a gay man, I feel like, oh my God, thank goodness.
It's like liberating, right?
I feel like I can cry now. I feel like I could talk about my feelings. I could express myself.
Yeah. Did you feel a huge shift, like before and like once you did come out? Like, did you feel like?
Girl, look, I wasn't even being myself. I remember when I was trying to be straight, I tried to walk different. I tried to have a different swag, and I talk like this. I lower my octaves and my range. It's like, yo, what's up, man? You know,
well, did you feel like part of that was because you were like, I can't give myself away, kind of a thing?
You got to protect your feelings. And then when I did cry, I cry in the shower, and when I did cry, I go and hide, and that's the hard part because we were told since we were kids, boys don't cry.
I just hate that.
But
yeah,
so
that's another
toxic.
Phrase that needs to be canceled,
it's
right?
So toxic.
That phrase needs to be canceled.
And you know what what needs to be learned is that, you know, sometimes people talk about like, you know, misogyny, but sometimes people feed right into misogyny. For example, it's like when we start, you know, talking about our preference in men and we start saying, oh, I don't like, you know, this type of height or that type of height. And that's so unfair because, you know, when you are dismissing people because they're short, because my husband is 5'3", right?
Sure,
and this means a lot to me because he shared with me his insecurities, how people will look down on him, how people will treat you differently. That's why you see a lot of CEOs or people in leadership, they're usually
tend
6
to be
feet.
really tall, right? And it's like that was literally just the genetic lottery. Like, it's not like they necessarily had the traits that made them that. It was the...
And why is it the lottery? Is it because it's seen more attractive? And that's the sad part because...
People take you more seriously because you have the height, or they think you're more of a leader, and I think that needs to be changed.
I'm 5'8", 5'9" with my shoes on. But however, it took me a long time because a lot of men lie on apps how tall they are.
Yeah,
if they're 5'6", they say they're 5'9". If they're 5'9", they say they're 5'11".
Right.
You know, they're 5'11".
They totally do.
They say they're 5'16".
They totally do.
You know what I mean by that.
But I do know, yeah.
But because they want women or whoever to be attracted to them.
Because they feel like if they obviously must feel like if they say their real height, that's going to limit their possibilities and that women aren't going to think they're attractive, right? Which is kind of sad.
That's why it's really important for us to move forward
from that, yeah.
Yeah, we have to acknowledge that existence and do better. We have to not, you know, shame people because we think our preference, you know, well, that's my preference.
Well, it's okay if it's a preference, but I think the thing is a lot of people talk about it as like, because I want a man. That's when it's a problem to me, when they're like, I want a real man. And you're like, are you saying that like someone who's 5'6", 5'7" is not a real man? Because that's really offensive, right?
I hear stuff like, I want a real man. He needs to have a beard. He needs to have chest hair. And I go like, well, I don't have chest hair. I don't have a full beard.
Like, am I not a man? Yeah, like it's really offensive.
And they'll say it.
And dangerous.
And they'll say it to me. And they don't realize how offensive that is.
Yeah.
We're so trained to understand not to comment on people's body parts, like their physicality, you know, whether it's their weight or the size of certain things, you know, but for some reason, we're not trained to understand that there's body shaming in men, and that's toxic, and that's not okay.
Yeah, it's true. Or even like, you know, my boyfriend's 5'10", and I don't like, to me, that's perfectly fine and normal, and I love him, and he's handsome and whatever. But to some women, they think 5'10" is too short, you know, unless you're 6 feet or 6'1" or taller. It's like they don't even consider you. And I've had friends say things in front of me that are like, I would never date a guy under 6 feet, or like, I want a real man. Like you said, facial hair, he needs to be at least 6'1". Like, I'm not willing to date anyone that's under this. And I'm like, do you realize, like, my boyfriend's 5'10"? Like, you're saying this in front of me, right? And like, I think he is a real man, and I'm like, I don't care about, that's not why I choose to date someone. It's not based on their height.
And they don't realize their environment. I was like, girl, look around you.
Right.
Like, do you see how many men here that are not 6 feet? You literally just insulted everyone in this room. And that's why it's like, a lot of people lack self-awareness.
And it's sort of seen as okay in this weird way, like that it's okay to talk about people like that. And it's like, it's not, right?
No.
Like,
it's not okay. And look, none of us are perfect. A lot of us are still learning. And that's why, you know, like I said, second chances are important. I don't know everything. I make mistakes. But I also deserve a second chance. It's all about the motive, and it's all about the intention, because that's the thing. It's like, did you mean to hurt someone? What was your intention? And you know, and for the longest time, like on dating apps, like Grindr and stuff, I remember you go on there, people say, no femmes, no fatties, no Asians. And I go, what?
oh my gosh.
Because everyone was attracted to straight passing men in the gay community. And then they see Asians as not masculine for a long time. And that's why I just love the amount of representation we're getting this year in 2023. I'm finally seeing like Asian male hunk lead characters.
Yeah, totally. I love it too. I've seen that too.
Main character kissing the girl. I was like, oh my God, we never see Asian guys kiss a girl.
Actually, it's happening a lot this year, which is amazing. Like a lot of TV shows and movies, I've seen like the hunk be an Asian guy.
Yeah. And honestly, like I get emotional. I cry when I see it because I grew up my whole life.
Because you're like, I can't believe this is now like happening. And like, how much would that have like affected you positively?
I'm 41 years old and I finally see it in American television.
But imagine if you had that when you were like 6, 7, 8. Like, don't you think it would have made a big difference?
Yeah, it would have, because I would have believed in myself.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have doubted myself. And this is why representation at such a young age is so important.
It matters,
Because I never felt like I was good enough. And
I can completely understand that. We tend to be drawn, especially as kids, I think, to people that look like us just because it shows like that we could do something, right? And so whether that's your pop star, whether that's your actor, whether that's your athlete, whether that's, you know, whoever, like I think it is really important to have somebody that's representing what you look like, so that you realize, okay, they've achieved this huge thing. I can be there too.
But at the same time, I don't regret it, because it gave me purpose. It made me fight for what I believe in and to fill that void for myself. And that's why I don't regret that.
You had to become it for yourself because you didn't see it. Yeah.
I always say, fill that hole that is missing for you. Fill that void for yourself. So your mission, if you see something missing, don't wait for it to be filled. Be that person to fill it.
Yeah, I think that's really beautiful, and I love that. And it also really teaches us, like, can we just be done with stereotypes in general of, like, again, goes back to boxing people in. Because actually it's really negative, and it causes a lot of issues, especially, like, going back to what we were saying with toxic masculinity. Like, a lot of us women don't want men who portray that toxic masculinity, who are too aggressive, who, you know, do things that are offensive or that don't make us feel safe, right? But then in the same breath, we're saying things like, I don't want a guy who's not a man. I don't want a guy who's less than 6 feet. I don't want a guy who doesn't have those like masculine qualities. And it's like, well, if we can accept some of those qualities in our men, I think we're actually going to be pushing this, like, our society forward and actually rejecting the toxic masculinity that we all hate, right? Because we all don't want this toxic man, but yet we're perpetuating and saying these things, and it's not okay.
Because if you flip it to the other side, if someone is telling you what a real woman is or whatever, that would be kind of offensive, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But for some reason, people don't understand, like, you're a man, so you need to take it. You need to man up. So stop being a wimp. Like they keep on putting that into our heads. And that's why I spent most of my life trying to prove myself as a man, but not anymore. And that's why a lot of people who knew me from my past, I was like, don't judge me from my past. I was growing. I'm still trying to understand myself.
Yeah.
And who I am today is a different person. That's why I said that it's very important to give people the benefit of the doubt, let people learn, and second chances do apply to people because, again, it's always about the motive and intention.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
And going back to that, it's important for us, to have quality friends, quality over quantity. We always feel like we have to have like everyone like us, like 100 friends at the party. Sometimes all you need is 4 friends, 3 good friends that are really close to you. And this goes back to, would you rather have $1 or 100 pennies? Because 100 pennies is a lot of weight.
It's heavy in your bag.
It's heavy in your bag. Yeah. And what are you going to do with all these pennies?
And also you have to count them every time you need to do something. I mean, that's stressful.
Lot.
Yeah.
And heavy. And so that's why the quality is that $1. Sometimes you have that one friend.
Yeah, the worth of that. Yeah,
the worth of that, and it's lightweight.
I'm getting to that place in my life for sure. I think I've tended to be a person that has a lot of friends, which I'm grateful for because I think I find things that I can connect with like people in very different groups. Even like in high school, I remember throwing my 17th birthday, and I had all these different people from like different walks of life come to the party, and some of my friends are like, "Why is that person here?" I'm like, "Well, because I connect with them, and I had this whatever." And on some levels I've really loved that aspect of like my life, having these different connections. But as I get older, I've definitely found that, like what you were saying, the quality versus the quantity, like I also only have so much time in my life to give to like that energy because we're pursuing careers, dreams, like we have partners, we have family, there's all these different things, and sometimes we only have so much time in the day, right? And so I was finding that I was getting, I was just split thin, like everywhere there was a little piece of me with like 1,000 people, and I felt like some of my very closest friends or my boyfriend or my family weren't actually getting me, the part of me that they deserve, because I was just split too thin trying to be everything for everybody, like the quantity versus the quality.
Exactly.
And I actually can't be everything to everybody, even if I wanted to. I've always felt like I really need to give myself to the people that are my really close friends and family and partner who have like showed up for me and who've been there, and they deserve my attention, with that, and it's just, for me, I've found I can't give my attention to everything at all moments.
Most importantly is communication, right? When you have friends, because some people don't know how to communicate. They will give you the silent treatment. That's very punishing. Yeah. It's very annoying because it's kind of immature. Because grow up and speak up. If you have a problem, why are you giving me a silent? Let's talk about it. Yes, I will always try to figure out, because we don't know what people are going through, right? So you give them that benefit of doubt, but that's the thing. Ask about it. Talk about it. And sometimes people need space, right? But to punish them with this like dirty look and silent treatment, and it's just so annoying. That's why I have a song on my album called Silent Treatment.
Silent Treatment.
Yes.
I love that one.
And sometimes, I don't know if you ever had people rate you. Like, oh, you're an 8 out of a 10. Have you ever had people
Sure, definitely,
oh
yeah.
my God.
It's the worst, yeah.
I have people say, ever since people call me an 8, I hate the number 8.
Yeah, it's actually a good number.
It's a good number, but it ruined it because someone told me I was an 8. And they don't realize how hurtful that is.
And it sticks. Don't you feel like it sticks with you for life? Because like there are things people have told me when I was like in high school that I still remember,
And they're so clueless because you know what? I'll tell, like, someone from high school will be like, I did that? They're not even aware.
Remember, but the comment stuck with you.
It stays with you for a lifetime.
Ever.
It's like, you bully me, you punish me.
Yeah.
And you treat me like crap, and I remember it for 30 years.
Yeah, like it took me 30 years to forget that sentence.
But you know what? Thank you. Because of you, I worked harder. I became...
right. I wanted to prove you wrong almost. Yeah.
Which ended up proving to yourself.
Myself that I'm what I think I am. Yeah, totally.
It's horrible. It's very disgusting. And that's why, like, I don't ever want to do that to anyone. It's like, you're a 6 out of 10. You're an 8.
Who would say that to me is like so shocking because I'm just like, what? Well, also, who's rating their friends and their people?
Well, the thing is, they think they're being honest. And they think they're being real. It's like, okay, but it's in context.
Yeah.
If you're saying, like, look, girl, like you need to be a 10 out of 10. You got to wear those heels.
Right.
Okay?
Sure, that's a different context.
You can't walk into the party looking like an 8 when you're,
you're a 10 with and that's different.
You have a cracked nail here. It's going to bring you down a level. Like we need to polish you up. I did have cracked
nails. I had to get them done.
But do you get what I'm saying? Like there is like layers, but sometimes people say hurtful things, but they don't know it.
Yeah, they don't realize what they're saying is going to stick with you in that way.
And sometimes it's not even worth confronting it because you don't care anymore. You moved on. And you're like, I don't even want to engage in this relationship. I'm ready to move on, right? And learning to let go is the hardest thing.
And sometimes it's your family, too, that says things. I hate to bring it back to that, but I'm like, sometimes it is like your family says something and they think it's a joke. But they don't realize, that that's actually hurtful. Yeah.
Yes. And that's why I feel like a lot of times people think like, oh, it's family time, the holidays.
Oh my God.
Let's get together. Sometimes like, oh, no.
I don't know if it's just, I mean, I definitely feel like, and I love my family, so I'm not trying to throw them under the bus here, but like, I feel like they love to just pull out the most ridiculous thing, like stories and things that I'm like, can we just like, move past it? Because there's a joke, like there's times for jokes and I can take a joke and yes, I've done some ridiculous things or silly things or whatever, but then sometimes don't you feel, and I don't know if you can relate, they just take it a little too far where you're like, this is now not a joke. Every single holiday you bring this up. Like, when is it over? Like, it's like you brought this up for the last 15 years. Like, and like talked about it in this way to the point where it's now not even the story that it once was because it's been so exaggerated over the years to be whatever it is that creates the reaction. Like they want the reaction so badly that they've now created like this whole thing. And I don't know. I mean, I can take a joke. Like I get my parents love to pick on me and that's fine. And my whole family loves to pick on me. But
that's why it's so important to not assume that everyone family dynamics the same, but we're family and all those things because not everyone is close to their family.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't like to use that word, like, even in a business situation. We're family. It's like, no.
Because that means different things to different people,
It means
right?
different things to different people. And some people aren't that close to their family. And I prefer to say we're a team.
I like that better too.
Yeah, like the Avengers or
also, I've had business people say we're a family only for it like to mean nothing. You know what I mean? Like,
well, you know what I don't like too that doesn't mean anything is when people comfortably just always say I love you, I love you, I love you. And I'll tell you why, because I'd rather show it than say it. I grew up in, most Asian, not all, I'm first generation Asian American. So my parents came over here from Vietnam. My mom's Vietnamese, my dad's Chinese. We don't my mom and dad never say I love you to me growing up. I never heard those words.
That wasn't just a common,
No,
totally.
So the word I love you is so powerful to me. So I never say it.
Unless you're like, you have to be really meaning that in that moment. And also like have the actions to back it up, right?
It took me 3 years to say I love you to my husband.
No way.
Yeah,
okay,
when we first met.
wow.
He said I love you in 3 months. I said it took me like 3 years.
Wow.
Because
it just held so much to you.
It holds so much weight.
And you probably never really said it, right?
No.
In that way. So you were like, this is kind of totally new territory, right?
Well, because I know that in our culture, we just say, love you, bye, love you.
Totally.
And I don't say that.
Post it on socials, love you, or whatever.
No, I don't say it. I don't say it because it's so powerful to me that it's reserved. And when I do say it, I have a freedom, a feeling of lightweight when I say, because sometimes I'll say it here and there.
And
I'll be like, love you,
Yeah.
But it's rare. So when I do say love you, it's very special. And when I was a child growing up, like in elementary school, middle school, I'll see all of my friends who were not Asian, of all different races. And I see, white, black, Latino, you name it. I'll see their mom say, I love you, son. You do a great job. But for me, growing up in my household, nothing I do is ever good enough, because we didn't have much money, right? So it's like you can't say I want to do music or I want to be an actor.
They're like, how? With
like,
what? Yeah.
What representation do you have? Like there's no. You mean like a Jackie Chan? Do you know kung fu? Like all these things. Like because that was in the 80s and 90s.
That was the belief.
So our parents don't believe that those dreams are possible.
Yeah.
Like the American dream or whatever. But those dreams are not possible for us.
Yeah.
So it means like they feel like, oh, be safe, do these things, study hard, go to college.
You could make this happen, but you probably can't make this happen.
Yes, and that's why we were so limited in our dreams and our aspirations and our goals. And that's why, never being able to say I love you for my whole life, it was and also not ever being good enough and not having that motivation, it was very hard for me growing up.
I'm sure, of course, because like that's also the safety net that you fall back on as a kid too. Sometimes when you're like, well, okay, at least I feel loved and safe and everything like that.
I used to be upset. I remember coming home and I was mad at my parents that I couldn't be me. I would be like, because I'll compare myself to the other kids in my class where their parents would say, I love you.
And you were hearing that, on the playground and on the...
They were nurtured and felt love, and I never felt that. But I realized their form of love is different. It's showing it.
It was actions. Because you saw like through the actions of what they did, you knew they loved you. They protected you. They took care of you.
Mm-hmm. And they didn't understand.
They were concerned about you, which is probably why they were expressing some things that were maybe a little negative to you, but it came from a place of they wanted you to be okay.
But they didn't understand what it's like to be an Asian American kid growing up.
Yeah, it's totally different,
because they grew up in a different time and they came from a different country.
And they were already grown by the time they got out here too. Mm-hmm. It's like, and when you're a little bit more mature, you have more perspective. It's hard when you're a kid, you're just learning about the world. You're just taking everything in. I mean, at least for me, I know that like as a kid through middle school, through high school, I was like really sensitive.
Yeah, and that's why as an adult now, I reserve the I love you for someone very special. And so if you don't hear...
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, we can say I love that or I
love
this.
that.
But it's going to take me a lot before I say I love you.
Yeah.
It's going to take a lot.
No, that's good to know, the background and the history, because, well, you should ignore my card I wrote you because...
You said I love you?
No, I didn't say I love you, but I said, because I gave you a little gift for the podcast, and I wrote a little card, and at the end it says all my love, Kara. So I don't know if that's the same to you.
No, it's like the 3 words.
Okay.
I love you. It's so powerful. Let's talk about mental health.
Yeah.
Like how important is mental health to you? Like, do you take breaks? Do you get massages? Do you treat yourself?
It's honestly like probably one of the most important things to me at this point in my life, because I think there's been a lot of times where I've neglected it because I just thought I have to keep going. I definitely come from, I think, a family that really perseveres and is very resilient, which I appreciate that because I have a lot of that within me, My parents were both really hard workers. My grandparents were really hard workers. I don't think anything came like super easy to any of them. Like they really had to fight for it and work hard for it. And I'm proud of them for that. But there is this mindset of like persevere, make it through, like anything, regardless of any circumstances, you just do it. You go through it, And I think I adopted a lot of that, but I think it also resulted in me like oftentimes pushing past my limits. Not sleeping, working really hard, and like sometimes that really was negative for my physical health, my mental health. And so now I really prioritize it in the sense that I try to meditate when I can, maybe not every day, but I try to meditate at least a couple times a week. I try to journal, like morning pages, just like mind dump, get it out. I try to do yoga. To me, it's like real. I do Wim Hof breathing, which is like to bring my nervous system down. And I like tapping. Like I really I think that just anything that can get me into my body and out of my mind, it's super important to me. Like I actually like to space things out in a way now that I actually have like some time to sleep and take care of my mental health. Otherwise, I can feel myself like start to derail.
It's sad, but people don't take mental health seriously sometimes. Like when you talk about it, it's like, oh, that's nice, that's great. Okay, whatever. Okay, here are the assignments you have to do.
Right.
You have to do this. I need you to do this.
Or they call it like bubble baths or something. They're like, oh,
take a bubble
just
bath.
put a face mask on.
Yeah,
like,
put a face mask. Oh, yeah. Get a pedicure. Something
right.
I was like, no, I'm seriously going through a lot.
Yeah.
Like I'm triggered right now. I'm going through a lot of mental health pains. Like because they don't know how draining and not only where you came from, your past, and maybe you lost someone. So many things. There's layers to it, but a lot of people, they only take it seriously when it's a physical.
I know, you're so right. It's changing very slowly.
But I'll tell you why mental health can eat you away from the inside out. Back in 2017, I went blind.
No way.
I went blind for hours. I woke up and saw nothing. all black. I lost my vision because I was so stressed. And you know what I was stressed about? Social media. What time to post? Clients. I was overbooked.
You were like stressing in between everything, doing it like in the bathroom or whatever.
I was booked. I worked 7 days a week.
Yeah.
I worked 7 days a week. It's because of that mentality. You got to work hard. You got to work hard.
I know.
So I worked 7 days a week. I work from 7 o'clock in the morning to midnight. I only sleep for 4 hours. I have to post content. I didn't sleep. I was literally... It was so unhealthy.
Yeah, but probably was so stressful when you look back on because that's the thing. They're so interconnected, mental and physical health. And I think we really can do a number on our physical health when it actually has to do more with our mental health and what we're doing and how we're treating our bodies and our minds. Yeah.
It took over 4 hours for my vision to come back. I thought
That's so scary.
I thought I was going to be blind forever. So
Were you just like freaking out?
I was freaking out. When I got my vision back, I tried to Google it, but I was scared of the hospital. I don't want them to tell me anything negative. My husband's a nurse. He's like, you need to go to the hospital.
And you're like, I don't want to.
I don't want to.
Like, what if they say this is like permanent, right? Is that what you're saying?
It's so scary. And
I can't even imagine. I'd probably be so terrified.
If I lost my sight, obviously, I can't do hair anymore.
Yeah,
I can't see color anymore. And that's why it's important to take a break.
It's a big part of what you do. Yeah.
And this is why mental health is a serious conversation. And that's why, when people gaslight, and dismiss your mental health, like, take a bubble bath or take a shower or whatever. Is so much more. Or
sometimes I'll reply like saying that, sorry, I just cut you off. But I was just saying like, sometimes I reply, like I'll tell someone I can't make it to something because of my mental health. Or I'll be like, hey, like I'm really not, I'm stressed out at the moment. This is going on. Like I can't come to this thing. And they don't respond to it very well always.
No, they don't because they don't get it. They don't take it seriously. And then on top of that, people see what you post on social media because you look so successful with like all the work you do. But that took a toll. I was touring the world from 2015 to 2020. I was gone every week. I was never home. Okay, so I was literally going from country to country, from Korea to Taiwan to Hong Kong to Germany to Italy to France to Finland to Sweden.
That's a lot.
I was touring nonstop to different cities because I was supposed to. I have a brand I have to carry. I have obligations. I have a commitment. And what happened is when I came home, I only have like 4 days. Oh my gosh, I have to run my YouTube channel. I have to film a video tutorial. Oh my gosh, I have clients. So I have to do clients. Oh my God, I have to post.
Gosh, yeah.
And then people thought I was so glamorous. It was so great, but it's a responsibility. And that's why it's like, don't look at someone on social media and assume they're living their best life because a lot of times people are struggling and they're dealing with their mental health. Yeah. And sometimes what you see isn't what you think.
You don't know what it took to make that post.
No.
And like what it did on the toll on the mental health to make to
and
do
that's why comparing yourself to someone else and people thinking, they want this, this quote unquote success, to did what I did. It was kind of like, are you willing to sacrifice everything, your time away from your husband, your family? I didn't see my parents for 5 years, just so you know.
Oh my
I didn't see my grandma.
Wow.
I only saw my dog sparingly. And when we finally got locked down in 2020, my 2 grandmas passed away right before 2020.
I'm so sorry.
And the year of 2020, I also lost my dog that I didn't see for 5 years because I was always touring.
Yeah.
I broke down and cried. I was a mess because I felt like...
You probably didn't even have the time to grieve when you were going like so busy, right? So when you finally had the break, it's like everything comes at once.
Because my dog passed away on Christmas.
Oh my gosh,
so I was like,
I'm so sorry.
It hit me like a brick. And I felt like, I gave up everything for what we call success. Like I never saw my family, my husband, and but then on the surface, it looks like I'm always happy.
Yeah.
Because
it's misleading sometimes. Yeah.
I mean, am I going to go on my YouTube channel and say, okay, guys, I'm dealing with my mental... Like, that's not motivational.
Right.
I want to show them the beautiful hair colors, and I want to show them how to do the beautiful hair. I want to show how exciting this industry is in hair. I want to motivate people. But sometimes when you're giving all your energy and no one is feeling your energy and recharging you, and you're not recharging yourself...
The giving versus receiving super off. Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of us... me as an educator, we're constantly giving.
Yeah.
And then we're not recharging, and I don't receive. And I give so much away for free constantly, and all of a sudden, I lost all my energy and I never had a chance to recharge. And because I felt like if I took a break, I could lose everything I work for. If I took a break, it's like, oh my God, I'll be behind. It's because everyone keeps on pushing this mentality. It's like, you gotta...
Or you're gonna lose what you have, right? Like if you don't post every second, people are gonna drop off and you're gonna lose it. And it's like now we're constantly chasing this imaginary, metric or whatever. And like, so how do you feel like you were able to, like, do you feel like now you give yourself more breaks?
I do the best I can.
Yeah.
So that's why with when people ask me about the word success, it means something so differently to me. Success always goes back to how happy you are. It's always measured by how happy you are. And the joy
I really
something
do
brings.
love that, yeah.
Because not every day is promised.
Because sometimes like the big success thing actually doesn't lead to the happiness, which is the success. Like you said, that's the definition of success for you. And like sometimes they're not always hand in hand.
Because like I said, they go to that, Emerald City, following the yellow brick road, and they realize it's an illusion. Because a lot of things we see, like these awards and these accolades, is very political.
Well, we've talked about this where a lot of it is illusion, or like things that people are the most proud of me for were actually the things that I think are sort of like the most BS. Like, I mean, not that, like, of course I'm grateful for everything that I've gotten to experience in my life so far, and as I know you are as well, but like sometimes it's funny because the things that like I'm the most proud of is because I know what it took to make that happen and went into it and whatever, and like the things that people think are the cool things are sometimes the things that like are really political or just or it didn't really have to do with what you thought it had to do with or whatever, and like and people don't always realize that. There's a lot of like pomp and circumstance, and like a lot of it is illusion.
And that's why it's so important as friends, we support each other, like each other's posts, comment each other, because we're refueling each other's energy source. We have to give each other that source of power, because if you really love someone, you got to show them how you care, because sometimes people just come up to you, I love you, but do you really love me?
Yeah.
It goes back to like the
what
word
we
I
were
love.
Saying,
the word
that
I love.
and the support we were talking about. It's two different things.
And that's
we were
why
saying.
The word I love you is so powerful to me that if you're going to say I love you, don't tell me to stick to hair. If you're going to say I love you, you have to recharge.
And support what I'm doing and say this, and like it comes with the actions. But it's so
It's
so
a relationship.
True.
People don't realize that whether you're in a business relationship, in a friendship, and whatever type of relationship, a relationship requires, communication and understanding and giving people the benefit of the doubt, because we don't know what people are going through. And if you need to give them space and give them, if they said something wrong, like you said, give them grace, give them time to process.
Maybe learn from what
learn
did,
from.
Well, and that's why I think it's super important for people to kind of pull back the velvet curtain, so to speak, and share that some of it is illusion. Because back to the illusion thing, because like a lot of us look at people and think, oh my God, if only I could have that, or if only I could do that, and we don't know the full story or what it took to make it appear the way it appears. That's why I also think it's really cool to like have moments like this and share the reality of what's going on a podcast like this, because it kind of pulls back the curtain or the velvet rope that's like separating this from this, and like realize that none of that is actually real. A lot of it is a facade.
Yeah.
And I think it makes people probably, I would imagine, feel more okay with like, I know there have been moments where I've needed to hear that. Like I've needed to hear that it's a lot of upkeep to make this look as easy and happy as it looks, right? Like, because it's really easy to look at somebody else's life or experience and be like, wow, like why is this so hard for me? But they always look like they're on top of the world, right?
Now this circles right back to how people perceive you as being successful as a music artist. Like a lot of people will say, for you to be successful, they think you have to be signed to a record label.
Yeah.
They think that you need like a major record label to be signed to, and that in order for people to take you seriously.
And they're actually not even willing to jump on the bandwagon of being your supporter unless other people say it's okay. Like it's like someone else needs to know, oh yeah, that's cool, before they're willing to support something. It's like telephone or something. Like everyone needs to hear this thing. And then it's interesting because something we've talked about before is that like, oftentimes my friends that are major label artists or just label artists, not independent artists, like they don't get to pick their album cover. They don't get to pick their music video concept. They might not even pick the songs on the record. And so actually like...
It's less authentic.
Right.
Usually.
In a way, it is. You know, of course, I think they're trying to bring as much authenticity as they can to the situation. But sometimes there is a layer of you're not always getting directly to the source of the artist. And when it's an independent artist, you can be pretty certain, not always, but you can be pretty certain that the artist had a big hand. I know at least for us too, we have a huge hand on
genuine.
The cover photo, the videos, the songs, exactly how the mix sounds, literally everything. So like what you're getting is you're getting to the heart of me immediately. You're getting to the heart of you immediately. Like that's a direct connection, but a lot of people aren't willing to take like independent artists seriously.
Yeah, and honestly, I love being an independent artist because I want to represent myself. I don't want someone telling me, like, you need to have short hair and you need to dance like this and you need to release this type of music and this is your sound. No, I know my sound. And I want
we would both hate that based on the combos we've had.
I know. It's like,
because we're like, we care about the authenticity so much.
Because you know what it is? Because you almost sell your soul. You lose a little bit of yourself. Yeah. Because, you know, with that, it has a lot to do with... what I call it, having that extra financial backing is what it is. It's like because
you're trading this for the You're trading this for the backing, yeah.
Well, because when you think about it, it goes back to nothing's free. To get on the radio, you have to what do they call it, payola? Like you have to.
Oh, people don't realize like that to get on
playlist.
A lot. Yeah, a lot of those the labels are paying the playlist to put the artists on. They're paying thousands of dollars to put the radio on. What a lot of the average like listeners don't understand is like they think you got on the radio because of like
you're so good,
right, some accolade or oh, it ended up on the playlist because it was like it was so good and it was like it got the notoriety, when they don't realize that like a lot of it's political.
It's a business decision to you know, it's like a trade-off to get this artist to get in there, but then but you also sign a contract to be owned by them and that they own your songs and they own that image and that sound. And that's why like it's so important to be able to what we do is very successful too, but people don't want to believe it sometimes, and we constantly feel like we have to prove ourselves sometimes.
I know, like prove that you're not like just a joke or something, right? Like it's like you have to prove like, no, what I'm doing is important. It's not, or like it's real. It's real music.
But they don't take you seriously for some reason.
For some reason, yeah. Even though you're like, I literally did every aspect of this almost myself.
Because there's really no difference between you know, how we record our songs, because I've worked with so many producers who work with like the biggest name artists.
Yes, yeah, same.
You know, I record my songs in studios where a bunch of, you know,
and they've signed off on it and they've loved it, and they're the ones doing a lot of the label work, right? So it's not like you're getting a different quality.
No, the quality is exact same.
Yeah.
If sometimes, you know, honestly, I feel like my new album that I'm working on for next year is my favorite one yet, because I love doing background harmonies. I love doing stacking.
And there's a lot of that on it?
Yeah. Like
I can't wait to hear.
I stacked the hell out of it with all the ad-libs and the runs. Like, I'm so proud of it.
Oh, it's going to be awesome.
And that's the thing. It goes back to being proud of what you accomplish. Because if you did all this and you're proud of something that isn't truly authentic, but you're proud of it because you made it to this level of accolade that is perceived as success, you can be proud of it, but it wouldn't matter as much, right?
Because it wasn't maybe necessarily what you wanted to say. And like you and I definitely both know people like that who maybe aren't making the genre they want or doing something, but they're doing it because that's what they had to do to get to that next stage or whatever. And I mean, I understand it. I definitely understand it. So I don't want to place judgment on anybody. But it's like...
Because everybody has something to... You know, validation is very important. And I learned this because I used to go like, you don't need validation. All you need is parking validation. Validate yourself. Like I used to say stuff like that.
I remember a lot of those.
But
like,
I realized how important validation is, because it really ensures that you are doing the right thing. So to secure your friend, like, you're doing the right thing, I believe in you. It doesn't take me any energy to tell you that. Yeah. But those words can mean the world to you and help you pursue and keep moving forward and to keep striving.
Yeah.
And that goes to why validation is so important, from your loved ones. And I learned that more than ever this last 2 years because I felt so invalidated. I've been dismissed, gaslight, everything I brought up, like, oh, poor little thing. I don't feel sorry for you. You look like you're on top of the world, or because it's how it's perceived.
Sure,
so people dismiss my feelings all the time, and so that's why it's important to validate people we love and go, you're on the right path.
Well, and at least in the music industry, I can speak on this, but like, don't you feel like it's a fight a lot of the time to keep going because of how much there has to go into it to make it happen. And so like hearing, I really believe in you and what you're doing. I see you. I see what you did. I see all the details you put into that video, into that song. I see the theme that you did for your album. Like, that's really creative. Like, don't you think it goes along? It really goes a long way because that might keep you going. Like, that might be like make you go like, I can do this for another 3 months, even though this is really hard.
Well, when we first met, you probably go like, well, I didn't really engage as much because I was in my own head. I was touring, I was traveling, I was exhausted, and I was trying to figure out my own stuff.
And you had a huge shoot day that day.
I had so much going on, but not to say like, and I just got to know you.
Yeah.
And I barely touched that surface. And then as I start doing your hair, and you sat in my chair for like 4 hours, 6 hours, I go, whoa. Then we start connecting on a deeper level. And then now, because of our depth of a connection, I start engaging with you more, and I start supporting you more. And that's why it's important that sometimes, let time connect.
Organic too, right? Sometimes things just have to happen organically, which I'm really grateful it did because like you're such a cool person who I really do admire. And oh my gosh, this goes back. I wanted to tell you this. I've been meaning to tell you. My dad's a big fan of yours.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah?
So he's in town. He's been in town this week, and he said he watched our hair video on your channel where you're doing my hair and you're showing the steps, and we did the karaoke. And and he loved it. He thought you were so great. He's like, he's so skilled and talented in like explaining how to do. He's like, I don't even do hair, but I was really impressed by what he was kind of showing. And then also he thought you had such a great personality. And he was like, I loved the dancing and the singing and the conversation you guys had about not being put in a box, like sort of what we were having today. And he ended up going on like a deep dive and like watching your music videos and like watching your other hair videos. And he was playing some of your stuff for my family when they came by. Like he was showing them some of your videos and stuff, and he was like, tell Guy that I'm a big fan, that I love what he does, and he was like, I really hope one day he'll do my hair. Which is hilarious.
Tell your dad thank you for validating me because it means a lot, and recharging me and re-energizing me and everything we talked about and those little details that you tell me.
No, he really meant it, and he's a tough critic. And the thing is, it's funny because he has like a full head of like like he has a lot of hair, but it's totally white.
Yeah.
And he's a doctor, and he's never done anything to it, right? Like it was dark, and then it went gray, and then it went white, but he still had like the it's full, but it's just white. And he was saying to me, he goes, do you think, because you kind of inspired him because you did all these different cool colors, and you were telling the stories behind the colors in your videos and stuff, and he goes, do you think I could go put color in my hair? And he's like, do you think they would care at the hospital? Because he still works. He still goes to the hospital, and he's a radiologist.
What color does he want to do? Like green or blue or purple?
I don't think he knows. I think he's open-minded. He kind of like, he saw, he did. So he went on a deep dive.
Oh, wow.
He saw a color that you did that was kind of like, almost like the color of your jacket. It was like a soft purple, like a lavender. It was like a dusty lavender.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, do you think I could pull this off? But he's like, I'm telling you, he's never done. He's like, the most, he's a doctor. He's always been like very by the books, by the whatever. He's never done anything. And now he's like he literally was like, maybe like you inspired him.
He's ready to evolve.
Yeah.
He's ready to evolve.
You inspired him to think that he could have like purple hair. So anyway, I just wanted to say
it
that's
goes back
cool.
to like how hair color empowers you and how like changing things up helps you feel revived.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to kind of like decorate yourself in a way to make you feel like a new person again. So you get to evolve and go through whatever challenge you're going through and help you feel happy and help you feel good, And this, you know what? I had this conversation with one of my friends in the car last night. We're talking about like nice versus being real. And a lot of times we meet people, they're nice, but I don't want nice. I want real. Because if I have an eye booger or a booger hanging out my nose, I don't want you to be nice to me.
Right, like tell me about that.
Yeah, tell me, even if it's embarrassing. So I could get this booger out my nose before I embarrass myself.
Yes.
Like sometimes being real hurts, but a real friend will tell you these things.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why it's like I sometimes nice people can be very not as honest because they're so worried about their image.
Perception,
Yeah, they're so worried about that perception.
No, I've definitely been there before. Yeah, definitely.
And you know, there's difference between kind and nice.
Definitely.
Because kindness, it has more intention and purpose and
it's like a deeper level of intention, like you said, yeah.
Connection. And nice, it's just like, you know, oh, I love your hair.
Right, it could be really surface level, and you don't even know if that means anything.
Yeah, because nice, a lot of scary people are nice. Like Jeffrey Dahmer is nice.
Yeah, that's an interesting perception.
That's how he gets his victims. But you got to protect yourself from nice people sometimes. Because
because nice doesn't mean like what was the intention behind the nice comment or the thing? Because like nice if the intention behind it wasn't so nice, then that
I don't need nice.
Scary. Yeah.
I don't need nice. I need kind,
real, and real.
Yeah,
I'm with you. I think kindness and being real are two of the most important qualities.
Because people say, "Oh, he's nice" or "She's nice." Like, no, that's okay. I don't need nice. I need kind.
I like real. That. That's a good point. The distinction between that and like understanding the difference and also what you're looking for, I think is really cool. It's a cool thing to think about.
And having hope is really important to what carry on and move through life, because whatever it is that we're going through in our life, hope is what gets us through everything. It helps us to survive through any pain. Because I know a lot of us, if you're watching this, you're probably, might relate to some of the topics and conversations we're talking about, like mental health, insecurities, because we all have them. But there's the thing, once you go through this journey and you figure it out, and you learn how to be secure with your insecurities, and you're able to be confident in your insecurities, nobody can hurt you. Nobody can use your insecurities against you because you are secure with them. You own it. I have this scar on my back. I'm not perfect. I have these issues. But
no one can call you out on something that you don't already know also too. Mm-hmm. That's the thing that's so interesting is like sometimes people like to bully or like to say things and it's always stuff that you're like, I already know this. Like, you're not telling me anything. Yes. I don't already freaking know. Like, I've owned this. I've accepted this. Like, yeah.
Because sometimes it's our own insecurity when we're hurt by these words, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're so gay. It's like, yeah, I know I am.
Right. You're like, I own it. I know I am.
Yeah. You're so this or you're so that. It's like, yeah, cool. And tell me something I don't know,
Right, yeah, I love that.
Sometimes when we're triggered by something, sometimes it's something we're dealing with. And once you acknowledge, you take action to that knowledge, and you ask why, you dig deep into that why, you dissect it, and then you use that to create purpose with it and have this newfound energy and go, you know what? My pain is my power.
Hey, it's like your song.
My song, Power and Pain.
Yeah.
You turn that pain into power, and that's what gives you so much purpose in what you do.
I love that.
We're going full circle here.
Hey, that's full circle. That's beautiful. I love that.
That's why I love my album, Power and Pain, because it shows you my journey from start to finish, from all the ups and downs, the insecurities, the ins and outs of, there's bops on there. There's like some sexy songs, but at the end, there's a happy ending. And
it takes you through your whole journey because like you really have had such a crazy journey. I think that's what's cool about this podcast is like I'm excited for you to get to go deeper on your journey and things you've experienced and things that you've thought about and felt, because I think you have a really interesting story. And I think that like, even though, yes, it's shown in your music and it's definitely there, I think this is really intriguing because I think it'll give people a glimpse into like the realities of your life, and it might even like inspire people to go check out those songs that are about that,
and also shed light on things that people weren't aware of and who I am. And I want to be able to share this because people don't know this side.
Yeah.
And that's why this podcast was so important, is to speak about my truth and also reveal and being truly naked with myself, with everyone, to be able to see my vulnerability. And that takes a lot of, security for me to even have these discussions. So I'm so glad that I get to have my first podcast with you,
Me
Kara.
too. I'm so honored. Oh my gosh, I'm so honored. I feel the same way. Like, I mean, I just feel very comfortable with you, and I feel like we've had enough deep convos where we can be real with each other, real and kinded real.
And the thing is that even though we're not the same race or gender or sexuality, we can connect. And that's the important part. Is that sometimes we don't have to be the same to connect. We don't have to be the same to understand.
And share our stories, right? Because we've shared our stories. And I think if you're willing to like have an open mind and sit there and listen, that we can find that connection. We can find that truth, common ground. Yeah.
And then grow from that and be better and be aware.
It makes everything more real too, right? And I think like when you have a foundation of it being real, like we feel more connected, more safe, happier, more fulfilled. Like, wouldn't you rather have a really good real conversation than just like fluffy nothingness that maybe feels good for like 5 minutes, but you don't learn anything?
Well, yes, but I want to talk about your Instagram. Can we talk about that?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so, I mean, I know that's a quick segue jump, but it shows me that we have 5 minutes.
Oh, 5 minutes.
5 minutes,
oh my
exactly.
Gosh, the time flies.
Time flies
when you're
when I'm
having
with you.
Fun, yeah.
So, okay, where can we follow you?
Oh my gosh, thank you. So you can follow me on Instagram at Kara Connolly, 2 N's, 2 O's, 2 L's. I think you'll probably maybe see my name somewhere.
And on Spotify.
Yeah, Spotify, Kara Connolly, KaraConnolly, Apple Music, all the places. On Facebook and on Twitter, it's Miss Kara Connolly, like MS Kara Connolly. And
I'll put all the links below.
On TikTok, it's Kara Connolly Music. It's everywhere. You could just go to my website, KaraConnolly.com. You'll find all of it.
And you're on YouTube too.
I'm on YouTube as well, so I hope you check out my stuff. Kara Connolly, youtube.com/Kara Connolly. There's all the links, right? And then I couldn't secure the same name on everything.
Same here. I'll put all the links below so you can follow both of us with our music and our YouTube channel and our Instagram.
Thanks.
And this kind of goes into a conversation I want to have, is that a lot of times, with Instagram, we feel like we have to put on this, like some people have this whole, what's it called? Like a look.
Yeah. Like what's the word we're trying to say? I know what you mean.
Like
aesthetic. Like
aesthetic.
like a brand aesthetic or something.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
I feel so mixed on it because it's like sometimes I'm in the zone where I want to kind of promote a song or something, and I really want to give a certain like vibe. Like right now, my whole feed is kind of like black and white with lyrics because I'm kind of trying to tell a certain story so that when I announce the song, it's like exciting, and I find that fun.
Yeah.
But then there are other times when I'm like in everyday life when I don't have something like that going on that I'm like, I can't keep up like a perfectly curated aesthetic all the time. Like, I just want to share a video here, which is purples. I want to share a video outside, which is bright. I want to share, and I can't, it's not realistic I wouldn't be being the most like true and authentic version of myself to not share these different things just because they don't fit this aesthetic, you know what I mean? And I kind of feel like, I might be wrong on this, but I feel like maybe TikTok almost changed that a bit.
It has.
Where it was like, now it's just everything and anything goes. And like, now that's why I think I brought a little bit of it back. Cause I was like, well, some of it was fun, right? There's a mix. It's like, there's a time for it, but for me personally, I don't feel like I can keep it up at all periods of time. What do you think?
TikTok has changed the field so much. Like the algorithm changed. There's all these things that shift, and this is why it's so important that sometimes people think they can have it all, but then they can lose it all at the same time.
Yeah.
Like that's why people can have their like 10 minutes of fame or their little moment, and that's why everything comes and goes, and that's why people will forget all these things that you do and say, but they'll never forget how you make them feel. And I know we heard that saying before, and that's why like I'm so appreciative of anyone who, put time and effort and give me some love and attention. And I will spend as much time as I can when I meet someone in person and say thank you, because the support and love is so important.
Yeah, and that's like the real connection too when you get to meet someone in real life. And sometimes it's hard, like, I don't know if you feel like this, but sometimes it's hard when you see numbers on social media to know what it actually means, because you're like, oh, I got X thousand views or this and this. And like maybe sometimes we look at it and go, oh, that's not enough because so-and-so's getting 1 million or getting 7,000 or getting whatever it is. Like it's all relative, right? But then when I think about it and I go, you know what? If 200 people showed up in this room right now and cared about this talk or cared about my show or cared about, that'd be pretty freaking cool, right? Like, in person, the number 200 feels so much bigger versus like online. If you see something like, oh, you're like, oh, this is nothing, and you don't realize that anybody's actually maybe paying attention, and then maybe they are. And sometimes you meet them in person and they go, that meant so much to me, or I followed that whole series, or I followed, and you're like, what? You did?
Well, you know,
right?
I actually wrote a whole song about this. It's
about that? Yeah.
Well, about this whole conversation. It's about, this last portion, not this
whole, like the whole conversation. I'm like, wow, you put a lot.
Yeah. But the song's called Show Me Love. It's about social media. It's about feeling like...
Oh, yeah, the one that's coming, right?
Well, no, this one
it's out?
It's already out. It's called Show Me Love. It's like, you know, you're talking about TikTok, Instagram Live, and all these apps, and you're trying to do all these things, and all you want is a little love and attention and support and to recharge. Like, give me fuel.
Little goes a long way,
because
right?
I'm doing this for you, you know?
I can't wait to... I'm going to go check this out after. You know, it's cool.
Well... even our music style is so different.
I know it is, right?
I'm very R&B-ish usually, even though I have many genres.
You do have like an R&B through line for sure.
Yeah, like the foundation of it is mainly R&B, but I'll do hip hop.
But then you kind of went a little different on like We Don't Have to Wonder.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It was like you kind of had that kind of gave a little bit more rootsy, a little bit more organic, which kind of went a little more into my territory.
Yes.
It's like dreamy guitars and stuff, and a little bit of like
and bright.
And bright.
Because a lot of the sounds that I heard with the music, that like Roses and Something More, I believe that.
Yeah.
Like
Marco
a lot of things are really bright, and I love it. I actually have your song on my play, like on my Apple playlist. Let me see.
That's so cool. I love to hear that.
I want to show you. Like, okay.
No, it means a lot. I'm serious.
It's funny because I have you next to a bunch of like, there you are, Build a Dream.
Oh yeah, that's me.
I literally have you next to Jimin. Lil Duval.
It's so eclectic.
Yeah, like
I love it.
Meghan Trainor and some 80s songs, Elvis Presley, the Beatles. I have you next to all
I was telling you that when I was listening to you on Apple Music that the next artist they were playing was Lindsay Lohan.
Oh.
Like they were going, it was like...
I love Lindsay Lohan songs, yeah.
No, I love Lindsay Lohan, but it was so funny. I'm like, this is so cool because she's iconic. You're iconic to me. So I'm excited for your next record.
Look at this time. It's telling us that we talk for literally 2 hours.
Oh my God.
I mean, we do this every time.
I know. We talk for like 8 hours, right?
Do you have any last words?
We have we're doing the way.
I know. Do we have any last words for our viewers that are watching this podcast? Tang Talk.
I just want to say thanks for having me. I'm like very, very excited for your new venture. I'm very excited for your new music.
Thank you.
I'm very excited for everything that you're doing. Like, I love all that you do, and I keep tabs on it.
You're such a good friend. Thank you for being my cheerleader.
I mean it. I really love what you do, and I love watching your music videos. And, shout out Marco and Ashla.
Yeah.
They do a lot of...
But you don't love me yet. Not yet. We're not there yet.
I can't say that yet, and I'm going to cross out all my love in the card.
Give us 3 years.
But I need at least 3 years, but it's coming, I feel. Like, we're on the path.
When the time is right.
We have the most intriguing conversations, and I'm really excited for people to get to see like the side of you that I get to see when we're having these 8-hour combos in the hair chair. Like, this is what I think this will be so cool for. And I feel so grateful to be the first guest.
You're my first guest on my podcast. And I want to thank everyone who's watching, because this is a big deal for me. Thank you for watching this 2-hour podcast. I didn't know it was going to even go this long. But when I'm with Kara, this is what happens.
Know.
But definitely check the links below to go show her love, support her.
Thank you.
I'll put all the links below, including the music that we discuss.
Oh, thank you.
She's such a good friend. We love supporting each other. Of social media and in person.
Yes.
And thank you for your love and support. It means a lot to me that you stay to watch this. And don't forget to click thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that bell to get all the notification. And we'll be back for more Tang Talk.
Cheers.
Cheers.